Hello everyone and welcome back to PSGL here for the PlayStation F9 tier. We are here at the Zandvoort circuit in the Netherlands for the Dutch Grand Prix. We've got a full grid today of 20 drivers, so expect a very close field as usual. Real life race of course was earlier today. Not a classic, but I'm sure the Dutch fans came home happy. We'll see how it happens today in PSGL F9. Hopefully we'll get a few more overtakes than they did in real life. But yes, here we are for the Dutch Grand Prix. I am your commentator Jackson, and alongside me is NRX Storm.
Good evening. It's nice to be back after a week removed from Belgium. Obviously, we had a fantastic race in Belgium. That we got to see in F9. Obviously the real life one didn't get underway sadly, but we were treated to 4 hours ago to a fantastic race by Max Verstappen, but it might not be a Red Bull race win tonight. Quick stat for F9: no pole sitter this season in F9 has gone on to win the race. We've had a different race winner to the pole sitter every race so far, so it's definitely being kept wide open.
That is a fascinating statistic. It almost makes you not want to get pole, but I mean, of all the tracks where that statistic may well change, I imagine today would be the day here at Zandvoort. Not known for its great overtaking ability, but I'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think with they said in the real life F1, Zandvoort is like Monaco. It's very difficult to overtake. Also, I actually didn't know, but coming out of turn 1, there's turn 1A, then turn 2. So I didn't realise that there was that difference. I thought it was just turn 1 and then turn 2.
Yeah, I mean, turn 1A is more of one of those corners, a bit like turn 1 at Russia, I guess, in a way. It's a corner that's there, but it's not one that you really think about. It's not a corner that the drivers will have to do anything for. It just makes turn 2 a bit more tricky because you've already come off corners. That's a car straight on at turn 1 already. That is, I believe, the Ferrari of Niklas. We'll try and get an onboard to have a look at that. And we've missed it, annoyingly. Sorry about that. Couldn't find a car in time to get there. Looks like they've gone straight on at turn 1 though, so it's a very odd one there. Looks like so far it's hard to send it. It's not like they've broken a bit too late. That's you've forgotten to brake sort of territory. So perhaps there is sort of an issue there with their pedals, but other than that, I don't see how it could happen.
Yeah, sector 3 yellow flags. That's just one of the McLarens going in. Obviously, with Zandvoort, you have got that banking where we saw Russell go in, didn't damage the wing, but obviously we saw then Latifi, different gravel thing. So I think the curbs, the way they are raised a little bit, obviously the banking as well, can cause a little bit of an issue, especially at the start of the race. As I'm on board with Floor Vistic, he was the current pole sitter. As drivers are now setting faster laps, mediums with a 1 minute 9.9. That's definitely going to be quicker on the soft compound. We may see the hards tonight. Obviously, they can be used depending on what the weather is in the race. Just riding on board with one of the Alpha Tauris, just seeing them go over the curb, the car does understeer massive, so it's definitely going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it's the curbs here are well, vicious really. They can bite easily and can really affect the handling of the car, but it's going to. But you don't want to risk too much, especially in the race. You're going to want to play it safe and not. I mean, I guess that's where it comes into different drivers. If you're comfortable using the curbs and you trust yourself, then I suppose feel free to use as much curbs as you want. But I imagine there'll be a few drivers in the field, perhaps a little bit further down the field, that feel for them it's the best bet if they just stay off the curbs and just try and survive the race, avoid penalties, avoid damaging the car, and see if they can work their way up the order that way. because it's a track that, as F1 has proved in the practice sessions at least, that it's one that we could well see a crash at. So perhaps safety cars is something we'll have to consider in the race. As I mean, we've already had 2 retirements in this session. Already as Carlsbury has also crashed out in the Red Bull. But the chance of a safety car higher than usual, I'd say.
Sorry to interrupt you. There may be a lobby restart because obviously this being the highest assist here, it's been set to manual gears, and I think it's supposed to be automatic. So I'm just going to wait to see if it is supposed to be. That's why a few of the drivers are slower or have DNF'd, as we saw with Carlsbury. Yeah, so I'm just going to wait for confirmation from the tier host, which is Dustly, to see if it will be restarted, or they're going to finish qualifying and then do a lobby restart there. But yeah, unfortunate, but hopefully it will get fixed as soon as possible without no fuss, and we can continue the racing in F9 this evening.
It's a shame to have 2 lobby restarts in 2 weeks in a row, but I suppose if it's necessary, it's necessary. Timer regime currently top of the timesheets on a 1:09.3. I'm not that in the know with lap times here. I'd imagine we're looking at a high 1:08 by the end of the session. I would guess, looking at the current times. Although there's quite a lot of field spread at the moment, with just about 1.1 seconds covering the field, which doesn't sound that big when you look at comparing it to real F1 or any real motor series. But at the moment that's quite big for what we usually have. So maybe there's some struggles going on for some drivers up and down the field. But of course you've got some drivers that are on the mediums and quite close in terms of lap time. I mean, you've got Timer Azim and sort of on his own up front at the moment with nearly a 4/10 gap at the front, but then from second down to 12th it's just the 8/10. So strange to see one driver break away, especially at a track that's as short as this. But at the moment the timesheets are looking like perhaps there's some invalidations, perhaps some mistakes out there, which would explain the mixed up lap times.
Yeah, I think with the lap times, obviously most drivers have set it on the soft compound tyre. Obviously only Ethan with a competitive lap time. Oh no, there's Colesbury as well. As Black Yoshi goes quicker by a 10th and goes with a 1:09.2, so he's put himself back up to pole position. I believe he got no, he didn't get pole in Bahrain, but he was up there, so he's definitely one to watch. But yeah, Zandvoort's an interesting one because of the track layout, especially the first 3 turns. You can literally understeer it and you can be in the wall, especially as you come up out of that banking. As we saw in the real life F1, they were cutting that banking like half of their car, as we saw Max Verstappen doing it. Obviously these times will be a little bit quicker than what they would be in real life because of the game and everything, but I'm going to ask you, as I do normally every week, who do you think is going to take pole with the set of drivers here tonight?
Well, we've seen quite a lot of drivers prove themselves as quite good in qualifying throughout the season. Timer Azim, I believe, got pole in round 1 of the season and is really yet to convert anything since then. He got P2 in that race after, well, quite frankly, dominating most of it, but getting unlucky with a late safety car. So Timer Azim's a driver that's got a lot of pace, who hasn't really shown what they perhaps could throughout other races this season. Other drivers, Black Yoshi, I mean, just like last week, so you can't say no to the guy at currently top of the times. Currently 16th for the championship, so he'll really be looking for just getting a clean weekend together without any mistakes, any issues, and a good way to start that would be on pole position. Cohen, Robin, GTX, the 2 Alfa Romeo drivers currently leading the Constructors' Championship together. They're having a strong season so far, so both of those drivers, I mean, Cohen Rob on the mediums up only, 3/10 off the top, looking very strong at the moment, so there's a lot of contenders as always that could well get this pole. But you know what? Looking at that medium run, I'm going to say Carl and Rob for pole. That's going to be my guess.
Yeah, just to update you, the drivers will complete the qualifying session as normal, and then there will be a lobby restart due to the assists being the incorrect assist setting. So that is just an update there from Dusty, which is the host and the tier admin for F9. So you're all up to date on that. So For me, for pole, hopefully I don't jinx him this week or give him commentator's curse, is the Ferrari driver of IFRA Mentos. He got pole in France. I think if he can forget about the France mistake, he's currently P5 at the minute. He says that he may not be quick for Zandvoort. He is, I believe, Dutch, so this is his home Grand Prix, as I think there is a reserve also. No, he's not here tonight. So Mentos, this is his home Grand Prix. So he's going to want to impress and maybe get on the podium or even take pole position and be the first to take pole position and a race win in F9.
Well, he's currently, as you say, just sort of 6th. How far is he back? Just over 4 attempts off the top, which is definitely a reasonable gap to be able to close down. Mentos yet to score any points yet this season, with 2 DNSs and 1 DNF. It's hard to believe when you look at the pace he has shown at times. But I mean, for him, it's probably best bet here is just to finish, just get top 10, get some points on the board, and just sort of start building up. Because if he just tries jumping at the deep end, some people will swim, some people will sink, and it depends, I suppose, what he's feeling. If he's feeling confident, then yeah, sure, jump in, see what he can do. But maybe building it up and just trying to get a solid points finish in today could be a good shout for him for the long term, rather than getting in another DNF, because that would really be worst case scenario.
Yeah, I think for Mentos, it's now get your head down. This is where the season starts. You know, I've got to start putting the results in. I've got to start getting the race finishes, not the DNF. Obviously, what we saw in France. I think the other possible mention is Karen Robb. He's got the pace. It's the same as Bandini. I don't know if Bandini's here this week. No, he's not. Bandini is not here this week. So, the winner of the French Grand Prix and had a fantastic Belgian Grand Prix. The other questions that you've got is, we saw Ethan lead the race in Belgium, I think last week, and it was going so well, and then he just had that spin, as I've just seen Jamie go for a spin and lose his wing. It's the case of being right time, right place, I think, with this tier. If you can get out in front first and you can not have any spins, not have any safety cars, which we may see tonight. I expect at least one virtual safety car. I wouldn't know, obviously, with the safety car if we did get one or not. But there's a lot of drivers, I think, that can win it if they're not on pole.
Yeah, strategy is going to come into things for sure. So it'll be sort of, I suppose, wait and see until we find out if that plays a factor. Lots of drivers making mistakes at the moment, so the chance of a safety car do look quite high. But FER Bandini missing today's race is huge, because FER Bandini is currently the championship leader, and despite not scoring in round 1 of the season, he has got 2 wins in France and Belgium. Only a 3-point lead though over GTX, who is racing today. So a solid finish for GTX would be enough to retake that championship lead. So it's going to be I mean, Bandini may well be watching this and hoping that GTX has a bit of a tough race. But another driver that I don't think has got much attention yet this season, really, it is Dustley. Of course, the tier admin is currently third in the championship, just 10 points off the lead. He has been consistent in every single race so far this season. And whilst he's yet to stand on the podium, he's only 10 points off the championship lead. So with Bandini missing the race, if anything happens to GTX today, I mean, it is quite possible that Dustley will find himself in a real title contention situation, despite not really having a standout performance yet. But consistency is just such a huge thing in a season that's, I mean, it's only 13 rounds, so every single point is going to matter so much. One DNF is going to hurt so much, and a DNS or a DNF equally just as bad. Because, I mean, we saw Bandini missed round 1 of the season, didn't score any points, of course. Well, I believe he did race, but retired. I believe he finished outside the points, because he's got a 0 rather than DNF. But 2 wins back to back. Bandini's got the pace to definitely fight for this championship. It's whether he has the amount of races, I suppose, completed without any issues, because you can say, yeah, with 2 wins, you can say, you know, surely he's one missed race isn't going to hurt him. But we've seen it happen to other drivers this season. all it takes is, as Ethan goes to the top of the timesheets by 900ths of a second, but we've seen other drivers this season have great pace and then just not be able to convert it because of incidents that have either been their fault or perhaps other people's fault. So I mean, it's still better to get a podium than a P10. You know, it's still going to be so important for these guys to get the points in, get these race results in, because consistency, as Dustley's proved so far this season, you can sort of be fairly quiet throughout most of the season and find yourself in a great position, as that is Ethan going for a Latifi crash into the walls in Sector 2. Keeps it going. Somehow I think he's got away without any damage. He rotated a bit more than Latifi did and hit the wall further down, but a funnily similar accident there for Ethan, who has topped the timesheet in this session. Always contact there between one of the Alpine cars. Let me see which one that was. That was San, who's done a 15th. I mean, whether that was deliberate or accidental, I don't know, but that was a quite the swerve at Ethan then.
Yeah, as a result of that, F1 San has picked up a 5-place grid penalty, so he's going to be at the back. Also, just a quick mention, Mentos is not the only Dutch driver we have on the track this evening. NLR Florovistic is also from the Netherlands, so it's definitely going to be an interesting one. Could we see a Dutch driver win his home Grand Prix? I think, you know, everybody you know, wants to win their home Grand Prix in league racing. It's, you know, it's the same feeling as, you know, you would in real life F1. You want to win, you know, your home Grand Prix if there is ever that chance. But yeah, I think the times are quite competitive this evening, quite close as well. So the grid is definitely going to be very competitive. Obviously, we don't know what the weather is in the race, so we could have rain, we could have a dry race. It's definitely going to be interesting, because if you look at the top 14, they're all within the 1 minute 9s, and they're all within 1 to 2 tenths of each other, as there's multiple yellow flags in all 3 sectors. I don't know if that's a glitch or not.
I believe there is. It's just cars slowing down, though, letting people by.
Yeah, so obviously I believe also Petuaka is also Dutch. I'm not quite sure. He's the only driver not to set a lap at the moment. He is in the pits. Every driver has set a lap on the soft compound tyre as Black Yoshi retires with 40 seconds on the clock. So who is going to get pole? Can anybody beat Ethan to the pole position? He was top 5 last week. Is he going to keep that pole position?
Well, he's currently on an outlap here. I mean, he's doing a good job so far. Put himself top of the timesheets. I think he's got a good chance here. He's shown great pace throughout the season, but I feel like, as Belgium highlighted, mistakes are creeping in and they're too frequent so far. So if he can just get a clean lap, then there's a good chance he'll have pole position, and then of course in the race that's a whole different beast. But at the moment he's looking good for pole position, but with so many drivers out there at the moment, it could go to anyone. But Ethan there not getting to the line in time, or is that a timing glitch on our end? That may be a timing glitch on our end, because
I think
the car looks pretty quick.
Yeah, obviously I'm just on board with Hyped at the moment, one of the Hash drivers with Jamie this season. Jamie was doing quite well last week in Belgium, and then all of a sudden just had that moment of, you know, I think mistake. But it's the other side of the garage for Haas this week, because Hype just got himself up to P5. He was P4 because obviously Kyron Robb has gone even quicker. I just find that this might be the week that we see Hyped maybe knock on the door of the podium and maybe, you know, do a Gasly where, you know, he really kickstart his season, where he's in that top 5, knocking on the door for a podium. We may even see, you know, him on the podium at the end of the race this evening. It's definitely going to be an interesting one, I think, for the race, because of how close they all are. You know, they're not even separated by maybe 1 or 2 tenths. So it's definitely going to be an interesting race.
Indeed it is. But after that 18-minute qualifying session, your pole position driver is MNT Ethan. who takes pole for the Dutch Grand Prix here in F9 with a 109.202. Everyone has now completed the session. I think there may have been a couple of timing glitches there because I saw timer resume on an outlap after the session had ended, which is a bit confusing. But yeah, it is your poleman MNT Ethan who will start this race from the first grid slot. We now have, I believe, a lobby restart though. If that is all confirmed, then we'll have a short break between qualifying the race to digest what's happened. But even they're getting pole by just under a tenth of a second.
Yeah, and it's quite a situation because it's a Mercedes first pole position this season. I think for Mercedes, obviously, as we saw earlier, it was a Red Bull pole position. You know, fantastic from Black Yoshi again, up there in P2. Then we've got one of the Aston Martin drivers up there running off the top three. And then we've got Kai and Rob P4, Hyped P5, the Pied Piper P6, Daniel 7th, Dusty 8th, GTX 9th. Running off the top 10 is Mentos, 11th is Jetsy, 12th is Florovistic, 13th is Jamie, 14th is Powdy, 16th is 15th is Dan Schneider, 16th is Carlsbury, 17th is Petsuaka, and then 19th is Royal Harvey. And then rounding off the grid in P20 due to a 5-place grid penalty is F1 Arsan.
Now everyone leaves the session as we await some invites to the new lobby.
Yeah. So just obviously while we are waiting for them lobby invites and everything, through the races that we've had so far in F9, it's been, you know, one of them seasons where you make one mistake and that's it. You know, you're literally out of the top three because of the safety car or a VSC where we saw, I think it was in France, one of the top drivers had a drive-through, and obviously then Mentos had his moment of spin, as we're going to call it for the season. Then obviously, you know, Time Regime had the where he was ghosted for the race after winning a fantastic Bahrain Grand Prix. So it's definitely it's one of them cases where if you're in the pack and you're in the right place at the right time, then you're gonna be on the top three or winning the race. Like George Russell in Belgium. Okay, the race never happened, but you know, to put his car in the most unlikely of positions, you know, or even people don't talk about it much. Giovinazzi qualified 7th in the Netherlands yesterday. You know, I think it's very wide open of who can win or who can get on that podium. Obviously, I believe we may see the two-stop strategy for this evening. I don't know if anyone will try the ones that obviously we saw Hamilton earlier this evening do the 3-stop strategy. I don't think we'll see people making 3 stops unless there is multiple. Home to the Dutch, well, you might as well call them the Max Verstappen Dutch army. As we saw earlier this afternoon, will we see a Red Bull up there? Will we see even a Dutch driver up there? Because we've got 2 in the lobby this evening with Mentos and Florovistic. So it's an interesting one of what strategies do people go for. I think the 2-stop might be the more quicker, you know, get the softs done nice and early, go for a set of mediums, and then if you want to try the second stop and maybe go for another soft to try and get that extra point, you know, someone like Mentos who is starting in P10, you know, it's all to kind of go for, really.
Yeah, there's so many drivers in this field that could spring a surprise on us that it's almost impossible to predict who will end up being the driver that perhaps does bring a surprise on us. We've said, of course, in qualifying, there's certain drivers this season that have proven themselves to be consistent front runners, like GTX, Carmen Robb, Bandini not racing today, but another driver that has been at the front pretty much the entirety of this season. We're getting to, this is round 4 of the season, so this is sort of drivers' last chance to sort of get themselves in the fight. I'd say if you're not sort of close to the title, sort of the front of the championship after this race, it's going to be a real tough season for you to get that championship. You'd have to really go on a streak of wins. But this is, I'd say, the final chance for drivers to sort of put that effort in and perhaps become championship contenders. Because, I mean, it's so close to that front that, yeah, there is anyone that could win this. But it's going to start to stretch out after each race we have, and if you don't start building momentum early on, you're not going to have the time for that momentum to do anything by the end of the season. So you could win the final 3 races of the season, or run the final 4 races of the season, and if you just don't get a good first half of the season put together, it's going to mean nothing, no matter how well you win the season. And it's really one of those things where these drivers have to get these performances in to prove themselves, and to get themselves a decent haul of points. Because you look at some drivers, like Mentos, who we mentioned earlier, who was a driver that, of course, he's got pole in France. You can't get a lucky pole. He's clearly a very talented driver, but without a point yet this season. Of course, 2 races that he hasn't done, but it's one of those things that it's really now or never, really, for these drivers to start putting in these consistent performances, and if not, they can start to change their hopes for the season, perhaps downgrade from the championship to maybe top 5 or top 10, depending on where they are.
I think the most important part of what you said earlier was Dusty has the opportunity to potentially close that gap, because Bandini is not here this week. You know, if there's one time you want your championship rival or leader, whatever, to miss a race that you're potentially very good at, as we've seen from the tier chat, Dusty was feeling very confident for this race. He's in a Williams that, you know, in real life has defied many odds we've seen this season, like Belgium, like Hungary. He's just got to be in that mindset of, I need to get a podium, I need to, you know, as long as he scores more than 10 points and has no other issues with, you know, any incidents or anything, by the time we come next week, he could be potentially past Bandini, or closing that gap up to set up a very nice championship fight between Bandini and Dusty, which would be Mercedes versus Williams, which would be very interesting, I think, for not just for us but for the viewers as well, as we go later on into the championship, where the championship will heat up, not just for the drivers but the constructors as well.
Yeah, just waiting on the final drive to draw and the grid to be sorted for us today, and then we will be back to racing. Oh, I say back to racing, we'll start racing. Of course, it is only I mean, it was only qualifying that we've done so far, although that was plenty entertainment. Hearing about 1 minute until we will load in to the circuit. It's going to be a tough one to predict for today, with the chance of safety cars. It looks like it's going to be dry, looking at the left hand side of the screen there.
Yeah.
But I mean, Storm, who's your pick for the win today? Who's your pick for the podium?
I tell you what, for the first time commentating this, obviously this being our first season in PSGL as commentators, I tell you what, I don't think you just can't pick anyone, because you look up and down this grid, you can make a case for at least 5-6 drivers. You know, you've got people like Karin Robb, Ethan, Jamie, GTX, Mentos can win it, Dustley. You know, it's up and down the grid. Anybody, you know, I think it all comes down to what happens turn 1 and the pit stops. If drivers don't get the 5-second penalty, or they don't get the drive through from a VSC, I think that's where it's going to be, where they pick up positions. You know, we saw Sergio Perez do it. He went from pit lane start, obviously you can't get it in the game, to 8th position. You know, just imagine if he didn't go for them, the other stop after the hard compound tyre, after they were flat spotting, he could have been even past the Ferrari. So Zandvoort is, I think, gonna, well, for tonight, it's gonna be one of them exciting races where it's gonna be the situation of, for Dusty, he's got to just throw everything at it. He's literally just got to go with, he's just got to put everything out of his mind and just go, if I want to get past Bandini, I'm going to have to win this race, or I'm going to have to get on the podium. I just don't see anywhere close enough to potentially get close enough to Bandini, because Bandini has just been in exceptional form. Since France, he has come completely alive. You know, he's right place, right time, right on the money. He, you know, gets the move done. As we saw in France, last lap, he was still sitting behind Car and Rob, and he just, through the DRS, just went for it. And I think that's what Dusty's got to do. He's got to go for it, but make sure he's not involved in any incidents.
As the formation lap begins here at Zandvoort, got a packed field today. One driver wasn't able to rejoin for the restart. I believe that was Niklas in the Ferrari. It's a shame for him, but still 19 drivers, a very healthy field there. But yes, let's prepare ourselves for what could well be a very exciting race here. Looking at the tyres that everyone's gone with, that's going to be penalised. Black Yoshi in second on the hard tyres. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but surely if those qualified in the top 10 on the original start, you have to start on those soft tyres, surely.
Yeah, I don't know what the penalty is for a tyre change, but that is going to be, obviously that will be dealt with as stewards. We don't deal with that ourselves. Obviously we won't get involved in that, but he is on the wrong compound of tyre, so it's definitely going to be an interesting one. Yeah, but we're now coming down to the last bit of the formation lap, and I will hand you over to Jackson for the race start as we get underway in PSGL F9 for the F9 tier on PS4.
The drivers now making their way towards the final couple of corners. Ethan leads the field. At the back got Royal Harvey also on the hard compound tyres. Got a mix of strategy outside of the top 10. A few on mediums, a few on hards, got one on the softs. But inside the top 10, with the exception of Black Yoshi, who will likely be penalised, it is all soft tyres up front. Black Yoshi will probably not get the best of starts on the hard compounder tyres, but the pole sitter Emma Ethan is lining up on the grid now. Royal Harvey coming through the banked curve as the field is lining up on the grid. Going to have a close race here. The top 6 on the grid were covered by less than 2 tenths in qualifying. Gives you an idea of just how competitive this race could well be, as the final couple of drivers line up on the grid now. We await the green flag. Field is all in position now. The revs will begin to rise. 5 red lights, and we are racing in Zandvoort. Can Ethan get the start he needs? Yes, he can. Immediately chopping across the front there of Black Yoshi. Black Yoshi looking to the inside but not able to go for it. Timer Azim all the way around to turn 1. Can he get up into second? Yes, he can. Can he challenge for the lead now as he's battling throughout the field? But it's Ethan who leads them into turn 3. Just behind him is Timer Azim. Black Yoshi dropping down to third. And then it's Hyped and Tom and Rob battling away here for the 4th position. More battle third on the field as we've got Daniel and the Pied Piper going wheel to wheel here through the long flowing corners here. And into the high-speed section of the lap, it is Daniel getting P6 there. But up at the front, it is Ethan who leads the way. As we've got a car from the background. That is Dusty.
That is Dusty.
We spoke about his consistency, but he is off in the wall. At the back of the pack, there is just debris everywhere. But Ethan continues to lead out front here, ahead of Timer Azim. Ethan get a dream start there, and is really now in a position to control the pace.
Wow. It's been an eventful coming to the end of the first lap. Obviously, Black Yoshi on the wrong compounder tyre. He's gone for the hards. He's not going to be in the best possible position. Not with them soft runners behind him once they get up to... Oh! And there is a yellow flag in Sector 2. That is a virtual safety car. So, as I expected, we are now under virtual safety car as DRS just gets enabled as well. So, Ethan is going to have to really put his foot to the pedal as he comes through the banking. He's going to be okay because obviously the understeer won't really affect him because we are under the virtual safety car at the moment. The drivers will have to watch their delta as Dusty apparently is P3.
It's timing glitch, I believe.
It's the timing glitch, yeah. So we're right on board with the race leader, which is MMT Ethan. Fantastic pole that he got in qualifying. Got off the start nice and easy. Got off cleanly as well. Black Yoshi, he's going to be in a very difficult situation now as he gets a 5-second penalty. Collision with GTX. Obviously, as the virtual safety car is now ended, and we're going to get back under racing with MMT Ethan as your race leader. Obviously, I can't tell you the rest because my leaderboard is timing glitched. I think it's fixed now. Kyle Rob P3, is that correct?
Yep, but there's wing damage for the Haas of Hype Shoals. I don't know how that's happened. I'm guessing that it's been some sort of collision under the virtual safety car, but there's wing damage, and Hype Shoals is into the pit lane there. At the end of lap 2, it's all going wrong there for the Haas driver, who was looking in a strong position so far today. As the timing's still sorting itself out, yellow flags everywhere, that's not legitimate, but ignoring all the glitches that are happening at the moment, some sort of drama there between Black Yoshi and, well, a multitude of drivers appearing to have some sort of incident under the virtual safety car there. I'll have to look into that one after the race, a bit of a confusing one there. But the result of that has been a few penalties handed out, and Hype Shoals into the pit lane there with a broken wing. But because of all the drama that happened on lap 1, he's only down into 14th place, so it's not all over for the Haas driver, especially if we see any more safety cars in this race. But Ethan is controlling the pace out front. I believe Timer Azim is still in second. Yes, he is. So ignore the timing page there. He's not down in 18th place. A lot of timing glitches at the moment. I'm not really sure what to say about that one. Even I don't really understand all of what's going on here. Black Yoshiro is all big slide there for Daniel, who's now going to have GTX all over the back of him, going into the penultimate corner. GTX is going to not go for the move around the outside there. He's going to set him up for the long main straight here. And right up behind him as they come off of the final corner. Wheel to wheel between GTX and Daniel. Could the Pied Piper perhaps have a look into this one? No, he's not. It's GTX down the inside. But the outside line tends to prevail here at turn 1. Oh, well, no, it doesn't. That's Timer Azim that's gone around. The Aston Martin of Timer Azim has had a spin on the exit of turn 1 as they continue to battle here between Daniel and GTX. GTX going for the switchback, using the banking there to the best of his abilities, wheel to wheel through this flat out S section here. Barely really corners in modern F1 cars, but Daniel holds on to that position after a small mistake at the end of the last lap.
Yeah, just fantastic racing there from Daniel and GTX. Just look at the gap that Ethan has pulled on Kyle and Rob. Where has he found this pace since Bahrain? You know, he didn't do a great Bahrain. He had an okay France Grand Prix. He improved in Belgium. But, Roll Harvey is out of the race. P17. Safety car. We have our first safety car, so this is going to be potentially a lifesaver for Black Yoshi. If he doesn't pit, then I don't know what he's going to do. The drivers are going to pit. Who is going... Oh! I think somebody dummied into the pits and then pulled out of it at the last second. I'm just trying to work out who that was. I think that might have been Floravistic. No, not him. I can't tell because of the timing issue. It looks to be the Pied Piper, I believe. Now, this is an interesting situation. We had this in Belgium, I think, and France. One Mercedes and then two Alfa Romeos behind it. This is going to be, I think, quite... It's going to be an interesting one for the Alfa Romeos because they're both on softs and they don't want to double stack it. GTX, obviously, race winner in Bahrain. Karen Robb got a podium in France. Could have got the race win if he'd have kept it for an extra lap. I think the safety car restart is going to be an interesting one.
It's going to be a big choice of when to go at this circuit. You could go early, try and use the dirty air through the final couple of corners to build the gap, but equally it's such a long straight there. Doesn't feel like it, but of course I'm not a safety car restart. Oh, that's into the wall and out of the race. It's Jetsy. He's spun it under safety car and he's crashed it into the wall. Coming out there of the stadium section here. He spun into the barriers under safety car. That is, it's a tough one there for Jetsy. The Mercedes driver inside the top 10 he was. And he's thrown it all away there. With a unforced crash under safety car. That's not one you see every day.
But yeah, I think with Jetsy, I think he's had the Russell moment. He's dropped it. I think unfortunate. He's not had a great season in F9. Obviously, I think he can come back. There may be a little bit of an issue with the lobby. I think it might be a little bit glitched because of the timing issues, but it looks to be.
I think it's okay now.
Yeah, I think the safety car kind of calmed down. I tell you what, this safety car has helped Dustley so massively because he's managed to get himself, all dusted off after the incident he had with the polystyrene board. It seems to be. He's just going to have to reset and, try and get past, Daniel and Height very quickly, and then up to his teammate. I still think this race is still a two-stop race. I don't think nobody is going to do the one-stop because of the tyre wear. It's just, safety car is now in this lap, so we're going to get back under racing. It's going to be EMT Ethan versus Karen Robb, and then we've got GTX, the two Alfa Romeos in second and third. So is team orders going to come into play, or are they going to just battle it out on track and see who comes out in front of Ethan, as we are now going to get back under racing very soon for lap 7. We will enter at the end of this lap as the safety car is now going to go in. It looks like it is in the pits now, so Ethan is okay to go back racing, as they all are now going to go back under racing. Is the Piper going to get a move? He's having a look, but he's going to get the door closed on him. Is anyone in the midfield going to go for it? Let's have a look. It seems like nobody is going to go for the move because the game is showing all 3 sectors with yellow flags. As Timer Azim is not in the lobby, I think. It might be somebody.
It appears to be some sort of timing glitch because he is ahead, or he's battling the Haas car. But
yeah,
he's down. So I think he is there, but I think it's a timing glitch which is putting him so far down. So take that one with a pinch of salt.
I think also the yellow flag timing thing is causing no overtakes. Oh, as Jamie has gone for a spin and has dropped a position.
That's another spinner. 2 more spinners. Dustley and Timer Azim have come together, I believe. Just a corner later.
So it's not going very well for Dustley with that 10-point gap that he wanted. I don't know, obviously, if you're getting the full track yellow flags.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Ethan goes quickest with a 1:11.5. Obviously, no overtakes can be done because they're going to get penalised. Well, I say that we've got a battle for P10. It looks going to go. Hyper was getting blocked by Mentos and couldn't get past as they now come out of turn 3, turn 2 into turn 3. It looks like Hyped is going to keep into P11 as they come now to the end of sector 2. Yeah, Hype just got blocked by the Ferrari. I don't know what happened, but yeah, as they come out of 1A into turn 2, it just did not go well for Hyped.
Yeah, strange one there. That's the yellow flags mean overtakes probably aren't going to be happening at least not easily, without penalties, which is an odd one to see. Hopefully, when I have seen this glitch happen before, it's usually gone after a couple laps. So let's hope that that is the case, because we could have a battle for the lead here. Because Carl and Rob is right on the tail of Ethan after Ethan pulled that massive lead early on in the race. Carl and Rob is getting back to him here and not letting Ethan pull away this time. And he's staying glued to the rear end of that Mercedes car, and perhaps now that DRS is enabled, an overtake it will be possible for Carl and Rob, but as we know, Zandvoort, it's no easy track to overtake on. So don't expect an imminent overtake, but it's definitely one to keep an eye on here, because you see these drivers getting just so close as they make their way into this high-speed section though. But this is where the dirty L will really start to hurt Carl and Rob. Perhaps it's smart here to just protect his tyres, don't use them too much here, because this is the part of the lap where you can't stay close. But as I say that, he is really keeping the pressure on Ethan at the moment. But can he get the better exit? He's right there. This could be an opportunity here for Timer Azim, as it does really... not Timer Azim, sorry, Carl and Rob, as it does appear that Ethan is struggling here. Or maybe Carl and Rob is just that quick at the moment in that Alfa Romeo car. He's got a teammate behind, so he's fairly safe on that aspect of things. The Alfa Romeo drivers currently strong lead in the Constructors' Championship, so this battle up front looks like it is just about to begin, as this is a chance now for Carl and Rob heading towards turn 1. Green flags are now back on the circuit finally, just as there finally is a yellow flag. Up to the inside goes Carl and Rob on Ethan into turn 1. There's a little bit of rubbing of wheels there, but on the power out of turn 1 up into turn 2, and it is Ethan who holds on for the lead of the race.
Yeah, I think these two are going to be in for the battle for the race lead, as they are now going to come into sector 2. Oh, they're going to... That is very close from both of them as they now come to sector 2. Car and Rob is really putting the pressure on that Mercedes car. I think also in the Alfa Romeo, it seems like it's kind of GTX is just holding everyone back. He's just saying to Car and Rob, just go for it, just push. They're on the soft compound tyre, the 3 options from Pirelli. This race, which is the C2, the C3 and the C4 tyre, the hard tyre being the more slower tyre of them, as they're now going to come up for lap 11. Car and Rob is that little bit closer, he's 4/10 off. Are we going to get a lap 11 turn 1 battle? It doesn't look like it, because Car and Rob is not going to go for the overtake, but there is a overtake battle for P7, which is Black Yoshi and Powdy, that is Williams versus one of the Aston Martins. Aston Martin not having a great race at the moment. They're currently P8 and P16 at sector 2 yellow flags. That is a glitch, unfortunately, so because there's no cars there. If you look at it, the top 10 are within a second of each other, as you can see by the track graphic that is provided on the Spectate. Car and Rob needs to get this move done before the pit stop changes, because Ethan then can get on fresh tyres, as he's really on the back. He's 2/10 as Time Regime has left the session. Is he going to go down? He goes down the inside. No, he gets the door closed on him. I don't know how Ethan is doing it. He must be feeling so much pressure, as they are now going to come round the banking for the last turn in to the start finish line, where he is going to get another run at him. He's going to get that DRS. He's not got much ERS, but is he going to go for it as he comes past the start finish line into turn 1? Car and Rob is side by side into turn 1. Ethan is going to battle it. A little bit of wheel rubbing. Ethan gets pushed to the curb as they come through 1A into turn 2. They're still battling as they go round the banking. They both go for the low line, and it looks like Ethan keeps the position, but Car and Rob is going to come back at him through sector 2. They're going to go for it as Car and Rob gets the move done at the end of... No, we're still in sector 2 at the moment, so Car and Rob gets the move done on Ethan for the race lead.
Great move there from Car and Rob. He knew where to put the pressure on Ethan there. He even just, I think he was caught a little bit napping there, heading towards the high-speed part of the lap. Just wasn't expecting the overtake at the end of sector 1. And Car and Rob threw everything at him, and it seems to have worked, because now it's GTX on the back of Ethan. But now that the roles are reversed, it is now Ethan with the DRS and Car and Rob who has to hit the air at the front. Let's see, can Cohen Rob pull away from Ethan? Was Ethan struggling as much as it appeared, or was the DRS just that powerful? Already though, Cohen Rob looking like he's pulled a little bit of time, but we won't truly know until we've seen another lap or two here. Looking at the moment, looking like a one-stop is going to be the way to go. Perhaps even soft to medium at this stage. Because these guys are already on lap 13 of the race on the soft tyres that they started this race with. As we have battle further back down the order. But these guys still on the tyres they started the race with. And already on lap 13, you'd imagine they can get to lap 16 area, then that could well be...
Daniel's gone. Daniel has retired sector 1.
And he's in the one safety car.
That is going to cause a safety car. So I told you there would be safety cars this evening, but I didn't say how many there was going to be. This is not going to help Karen Robb. Well, in pit stop terms, it's going to help him massively.
Bad news for GTX.
Yeah, because they're either one's going to have to come in, or they're just going to have to gamble on that double stack, because Alfa Romeo are in a really tight spot because they've got both cars on the podium. This is going to be near maximum points that they can get for the Ferrari team. Well, the Ferrari manufactured Alfa Romeo team. Ethan, has he done a master genius plan here by letting Karen Robb go past? So then, if there is a safety car, this puts Alfa Romeo in the most difficult, awkward position. Karen Robb is going to go in.
Sorry to interrupt here, but GTX is doing a little bit of a dodgy strategy here. He is deliberately backing off under the safety car conditions here, leaving a lot of space to the drivers in front of him. And he's backed off to the point now where, when he does get to his pit box, he probably won't get held up.
No, he's not.
That's questionable there. I don't know what the rules are on that sort of thing. We've seen in real life F1 people get penalised for that. But that is some questionable tactics indeed there for GTX to hold up the rest of the pack so that he wouldn't lose any positions. That's one for the stewards, I would imagine. We'll have to see what they decide on that side of things. That's if anyone reports it, of course. But interesting tactics there for GTX, but it's with the amount of drivers that are set out on track, it really is a mixed up field. As Colin Robb down in 6th, Emmett Ethan in 7th. GTX did still lose a couple of places there to Black Yoshi and the Pied Piper, I believe. So that still hasn't gone especially well for GTX, but you'd argue there that he still lost less than he would have. But how many drivers stayed out? That's 5 drivers that have stayed out on the track there. They could really throw a spanner in the works here for the guys up front who were having a nice battle up front. They were loving that clear air. Now they've got a load of drivers in front of them, so this could well change everything.
Yeah, I tell you what, if Mentos hasn't got a pit again, if he's pitted already, he's on 8 laps hard. From now to the end of the race, they can last. If he can keep up the pace, I'll just check if he has pitted. Mentos has pitted, so he definitely can go to the end. So redemption from France could be on the cards for Mentos. At the moment, we could have a Dutch winner, a Dutch national driver win the Dutch Grand Prix, because Mentos is Dutch and so is Floor Vistic, and both of them are on the hard compound tyre. They can go to the end of the race, but Floor Vistic has got to pit because he hasn't pitted. He's started on the hard compound tyre. So it's really of Mentos. You know, can he get them hards work in that operating window of, you know, getting past Hyped and Carlsbury on the safety restart?
I'll be honest, I don't see it. Hard tyres, they're going to struggle to go to the end because he's pitted for those on around about lap 6, around about then, around lap 5 or lap 6. He pitted for those tyres. That's going to mean 30 laps on the hard tyres. It may well be possible, but it's not going to be quick. And with just one car between him and Cohen Robb on the medium tyres, it's going to take one hell... I mean, if Mentos managed to make that work, he deserves more than a trophy. More than the winner's points. That would be one hell of a drive if he managed to take those hards, not only to the end, but to keep himself in the lead at the same time. But I think it's, as Cohen Robb proved, when you do have that slight pace advantage, you can overtake here. And I think, as safety car is in this lap, I think it's going to take... I think it's going to take one monumental amount of driving pace from Mentos to get the win if he does down those hard tyres. Of course, maybe he pits late on, goes for some softs under a late safety car. Maybe then he
Ethan's
can...
retired.
He's crashed on the safety car.
So the safety
both
car is going to
Mercedes?
come in. Yeah, so the safety car will come in, but we won't have the pole sitters. So it's definitely this season is cursed by whoever gets pole is not going to be the race winner. It's happened again, as it all is Florovistic realizing that there is a safety car restart, as he is now going to go. Oh, there's a battle, it looks like, for P2 already and P3 as they're going to go into turn 1. We are back under racing in PSGL for the F90 on the PS4 platform, or PS5 if you have a PlayStation 5, as they now come
in the
round,
wall. GTX has gone around and he's lost his entire wing. Another driver who is up in the front fighting there has gone around through turn 2. That has massive implications here for the championship. GTX, he is second in the championship, now down to 13th without a wing, and Bandini not racing today. That's the two top guys looking like they're in a situation now where they're not going to score points. Sorry to interrupt you there, but that is huge there for GTX, crashing into the barriers through turn 2. There must have been some contact there.
Wow. If there was a day to win a race in PSGL, I think today would be, you know, any of the days to win it, because it's so wide open. You know, each lap it's like, who's going to make a mistake? Who's going to, you know, get that overtake done? Florovistic is really trying to break that toe from Hyped. Hyped is really in a real comfortable position at the moment. This is his, you know, he's got Florovistic all on his own. You know, he had a really great Belgium Grand Prix where he finished in the points, I believe. So he's just going to have to keep plugging away at Florovistic to get that race win. It is mediums versus the hards, obviously. Hyped on 13 lap mediums, so he's got that little bit of a gap because Carlsbury is on 16 lap mediums. So Karen Robb has got a little bit of traffic to get up to Hype, but Hype is currently in pole position to take that race lead from Florovistic, as DRS is not enabled at the moment, I don't think, but it will be enabled soon, as the AlphaTauri driver is now going to come on the last banking to start lap 18 of 36 in the Dutch Grand Prix for F9 in PSGL.
As you say, Florovistic, he's leading the way at the moment, but when will he have to pit? At the moment he is still going defensive, but him and Scholz have really broken away at the front of the pack, with Carlsbury doing a great job here at holding up the rest of the field. Mentos somehow still ahead of Carlsbury, not Carlsbury, sorry, behind Carlsbury, defending from Cohen Robb at the moment. I mean, Cohen Robb on these medium tyres, he's going to surely, I mean, let's protect him. Oh, now he's going to look around the outside. Could this be a chance? Oh, he's hit him! He's hit him! And around goes Mentos. Another driver going around here. I think he may have got away without any damage there. Has that hurt the Alfa Romeo of Cohen Robb? Cohen Robb, as around goes the McLaren of Patuca. Patuca's gone around and keeps it out of the barriers there. What is happening here? Drivers are all over the road at this stage. Perhaps they're just the track conditions are not suiting these guys at the moment. But there's cars all over the road at the moment here. As now it's a Williams that's struggling. That's Dudley. And he's made contact with Powdy. Powdy's now around, going through the middle sector of the lap, spinning on the grass on the inside of the corner. Dudley's up into 6th place here. What is going on in this race at the moment? But it is Florovistic out in the front. Cohen Robb looks like he may have got away without any wing damage despite the contact with Mentos, but perhaps there will be a stupid inquiry into that incident. So who knows what's going to happen here. But this is the chance now. Up at the front, it is Florovistic holding onto the lead, but Cohen Robb on those much fresher medium compound tyres, going up into the 3rd position, which will eventually be the net race lead.
Jamie has spun. Sorry to interrupt you. There is a sector 3 yellow flags, which is the start-finish line. It hasn't caused any major issues for drivers coming through, as most were past the start-finish line. But wow, just that lap of sector 3 yellow flag.
GTX in the wall.
That is GTX.
And virtual safety car.
So this is not going. Well, it's going to help GTX. Oh, he's got a 3-second time penalty. This is going to help Mentos. He wants to really, you know, close that gap up to Dan for P7, get his first points on the board. Hopefully nobody gets a drive through. GTX has gone for the soft compound tire. He's 36 seconds away from Jamie, so Jamie has got a comfortable gap for the the VSC restart. The interesting one is Carlsbury is only 1.2, and that's coming down quite rapidly as Florstick is going to go in for the pits. So Hyped is going to take. I tell you what, Hype can still get himself on the podium.
It's been a great. Sorry, carry on.
Because obviously the Piper, you know, in the on the mediums in the McLaren, but he's, you know, Oh, as Dan gets a drive through for. Has anybody else got a drive through?
I believe it is just done.
No, and he's P6, so this is going to give people a free pit stop. And the other thing, the reason why I said hyped
around.
was...
Sorry, get this Mentos around again and in the wall, and he's out of the race, into the wall and out of the race. So Mentos, what is going on at the moment? That's another crash. This is crazy stuff here at the Zandvoort circuit.
Yeah, just a quick mention. Carlsbury hasn't pitted. He's the only driver that is still racing, has not pitted this race so far. So, I tell you what, if Dusty can clear the Pied Piper, he's on for a podium. After what happened earlier in the race, Dusty can fight hyped for a podium position and take the championship lead, potentially from Bandini, going into the next race. So, it's definitely a recovery drive for Dusty at the moment. He's just got to get his head down and catch up to the Pied Piper for when Carlsbury makes that pit stop to then potentially overtake Carlsbury. Okay, Dusty will be on older tyres, but I think Carlsbury has missed the pit stop opportunity under the safety cars to make a pit stop.
Hype Shoals will also have to pit. As that round goes GTX again, but as a round goes the Red Bull, I believe, and it is Dan who's gone around. A drive-through penalty. It's all happening here. But Hype's another driver that will have to pit again in this race. He is on 17 lap old as Dan is retiring from the race now. That is a on-track retirement just by pressing the button rather than a crash. But Hyped and Carlsbury both have to pit. But a driver I'm going to keep my eye on is Florvistic here. Currently in 6th place, but on the fresh, soft tyres here. If he can take those tyres to the end of the race, which I believe he can with a little bit of management, he is in a potential podium at, I'd say net P4 at the moment. He's not off that. He's less than 2 seconds off the back of Dusty, so that's going to be a net P3 if he can get that position. And then it's just a see how the tyres work towards the end of the race here. If these tyres do survive and do keep peak performance for as long as possible, this could be a great situation. Florvistic could potentially be in an outside shout for the win here. Despite us thinking, hard tyres, having to pit, that was him going to be out of the fight with all the safety cars that are happening. He'll be down with the order and not really playing a part in this race. But with Florvistic currently in 6th place on the soft tyres, the pace he is going to have to try and catch up here, it could well be the pace that could potentially win the race. But looking at the moment, perhaps some tyre management going involved, because he's barely catching Dusty at the moment, which of course will be music to Dusty's ears. But those medium tyres significantly older. Yes, they're more durable, but come the end of this race, they're not going to be much better than the softs on Florvistic's car. And Jamie's around.
Jamie, I do have to interrupt you as we've got a little bit of a battle for the race lead, which is Karen Robb versus Hyped at the moment. Karen Robb did have a cheeky look up the inside into turn 1, but the door got closed on him as they come round the banking. Sector 3 yellow flags, which is a McLaren, which is Petuaka, but we're going to keep on board with the race lead at the moment, which is Hype versus Karen Robb. Are they going to go for it? Karen Robb is going to go round the outside. It looks like it into turn 2, sector 2, apologies, as Black Yoshi sets the fastest lap on the mediums in the Williams car. Karen Robb really went for it but didn't get the move done. He backed out of it. He's going to come round to one of the DRS zones, which he's going to use, and that's now activated. He's got 86% of ERS, so he's going to really put the pressure on Hyped. Hyped is still in P1. He said earlier today that he feels really confident for this race. The Zandvoort track is one of his confident tracks, but it is going to come now down to as look at Karen Robb. He's already on the back of that diffuser as they are now going to come to the start-finish line. It's going to be Karen Robb versus Hyped, as Karen Robb has already got the move done, but it looks like no, Hyped is not going to go back for the move into turn 1, and Karen Robb takes the race lead.
Just shows you how much Scholes is struggling on those medium tyres. They're 20 laps old. They are not in a good state at the moment. Something that the drivers like Karen Robb will feel towards the end of this race. But Hype, they're just hanging on for dear life here. Perhaps going to go for the softs for the end of the race here. Perhaps go for a fastest lap attempt. But at the moment there, Karen Robb really is in a class of his own at the front. Got the strategy right. Had the pace early on to, of course, pass Ethan on track, and then with Ethan crashing under. Around goes Hype. Around goes Hype. And Hype's there dropping down to 5th position. That is bad news for the Haas driver there of Hype, and that means even if he does pit, I mean, behind him there is a driver that he was not that far behind earlier on in this race, as they nearly collide there going into the arena section here. Around the outside goes Floor. Can he pull it off? Yes, he can. Good move there for Floor Vistic. But, I mean, that's a driver that he was racing earlier on, who was both in a similar situation of going later into the race for soft tyres. But it just shows... Ooh, and that's around and into the wall! And that is the end. That is Floor Vistic into the barriers there. On the soft compound tyres, and the virtual safety car is out yet again here. This is... what is happening here? Floor Vistic on tyres that should have been the best in the field. And if he's struggling for grip, I'd hate to be anyone else, quite frankly.
Yeah, that just actually came at the worst possible time for the Pied Piper, as he was battling Carlsbury into turn 1. Carlsbury does need to pit, unless that is a glitch. He has not pitted.
He does need to pit 24 lap old tyres.
Yeah, so if he doesn't pit, he's obviously going to get a DSQ, obviously. But he's playing it risky. Why would you not pit when you're on potentially for a podium? You know, he would have got a nice podium, and he would have been, you know, on some good points. I tell you what, he's up 15 positions at the moment, but that is going to come down quite rapidly. But yeah, the other one to quite noticeable to the gaps made, which is Petuaka. He's up to P7. He's made 11 positions. Also, Powdy, as DRS is re-enabled, and we are back under racing in Zandvoort this evening. It is Karen Robb in P1, Carlsbury P2, yet to make a pit stop. The Pied Piper in P3. Then we have Dusty. Oh, Dusty, and it looks like Dusty is going to go for the move. He's going to go around the outside. The McLaren just pushes him onto the curb as they go through 1A into turn 2 into the banking. And it looks like Dusty gets himself up to P3 and is now going to charge down on Carlsbury, as there's a yellow flag where they're going to come through now, so they can't overtake. But that looks like it's a Haas. I'm not quite sure which one
Jamie.
it is, but it looks like it's Jamie, as they are now. Oh, as the Pied Piper goes off the track into the grass and loses a little bit of time. Dusty, I tell you what, if you want to win a Driver of the Day nomination, this recovery driver at the moment, absolutely fantastic. He has, you know, he's had a spin early on in the race. He had an incident with one of the polystyrene boards. The drama of the safety car, and he's literally sitting net P2. You know,
fantastic drive.
If you want to make a statement to your championship rival, who is not here, by the way, as Carlsbury is now in the pits, you know, obviously we don't know if this is one of Bandini's strong tracks or not. So obviously he's not racing this evening. But if you want to win a track that some people might say is like Monaco, where there's hardly no overtaking, which we've seen plenty this evening, we've seen plenty of incidents as well, then, you know, Dusty, he's, you know, proving it wrong, as Florovistic goes even quicker with a 1:10.6. You know, I think to top it off this evening, if Dusty got a podium and the fastest lap, I think, you know, he can say, job well done. I've done what I needed to do. I've got the 10 points needed plus extra, because obviously it being P2 in the race at the moment, he is doing fantastic for that Williams team. Also, his teammate Black Yoshi, obviously pending investigation for the lobby restart on the hard compound tyre when he should have been on the soft compound tyre. That will obviously be investigated by our fantastic stewards at the end of the race. But yeah, Colesbury's gone onto the soft, so he still can get P4 because Hyped is on the mediums. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. I think coming to the last 6 to 8 laps, it's definitely going to be, I think, can Hyped get on to the podium? He's 10.5 seconds. That is coming down to the Pied Piper in that McLaren. Sector 2, yellow flags. That is, I believe, GTX. Please don't tell me that's Car and Rob.
It is GTX.
No. Yeah, I was going to say, if that was Car and Rob, then just throw the book out the window because it's just not needed anymore. All top 3 drivers have been on the medium compound tyre, the middle tyre of the Pirelli range that is in offer to the drivers this evening. It is roughly around about 0.5, I think, to a second slower than the soft medium compound tyre. So I don't know which of the C2 or C3 that is, but it looks... Oh, who's had an off?
Florvistic again around
It's
in
not
the high speed
going well.
part of the lap.
Oh, it's
and
reti-
GTX is retired.
He's done that in the pits.
Yeah.
Not a good race for one of the Alfa Romeos. Apologies. So that's not going to cause any problems at the moment. But everybody is going to score points. This could be key in the constructors' battle as we are on lap. Oh, as Florovistic is now retired as he's spun the car and it is in the wall.
Safety car.
Safety car. I tell you what, this is getting like Bahrain. We had that safety car right at the end.
Sorry to interrupt here, but just pointing this one out there. Carlsbury currently in 5th on fresh softs. Anything could happen here if those softs work as well as they quite well could. Carlsbury for the win, maybe.
So, at the moment, both of the Dutch drivers are out of the race, which was IFRA Mentos and Florvistic that we know of. You know, we don't obviously know the nationalities of all the drivers, but Karen Robb, I believe he's Welsh.
And into the pits.
Oh, he's into the pits.
Bring on softs.
This is a tactical change, I think. He's going to go for the softs. Let's just see where he will come out. Oh, they're all coming into the pits. The only person not to come into the pits is Hyped.
No, that's Jamie. He's a lap down.
No,
he's trying to get his lap back.
No, that is Jamie. He's
Hype
trying to
does
get
come
his.
in.
Yeah. So, is anybody going to pass them? It looks like Carlsbury is going to get up on. He's going to get up. No, he's got up to P3. I won't want to be in that top 3 because it just seems so very cursed at the moment. As Petraki gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. George Russell had that earlier this afternoon when I believe he went nearly 30. I think the pit lane is 37 miles an hour. He went over that. As we are now on the safety car, look how close Dustley is to Karen Robb. He knows that he can pounce on him on that safety car restart. It's gonna be Alfa Romeo versus Haas. I never thought I'd say that. A Haas. No, not a Haas. Yeah, no, it is a Haas.
That's
No.
Jamie, who's a lap down. He's in the
Okay.
way of our great battle.
Yeah. You know, for two teams in real life F1 that aren't challenging at the top, well, obviously George, you know, fantastic Belgian race that, well, I know it never got hacked.
Qualifying.
Never, yeah, got himself up to P2, but you know, Alfa Romeo and Haas, unless it's virtually, they don't really get up the top. They don't get the time. You know, we've seen Mercedes, we've seen Ferrari this evening, not put on a great show this evening as. Jamie is in the pit, so he won't affect what could potentially be this great battle. I tell you what, if Dusty wins this race, he is definitely gonna have one of the great PSGL recovery drives, because after lap 1 or 2, he was at the back of the grid when we had 19 drivers. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one, as we are going to have potentially 4 or 5 laps of this race left. We're still under the safety car. Timer Azim, I don't know if he's in the lobby or he's out the lobby. He is 4 minutes and 24 seconds behind, but he is going to finish in the points. I don't know if his Ghost will score him any points. Obviously, that's up to the stewards to decide. But it's going to be a battle, I think. If Dusty can get that restart right, I tell you, I think he's going to be our race winner. I genuinely have that much faith in him. He's come this far in the race. He would not put a foot wrong to get a race win.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic drive from Dustley to really recover the safety car race in this lap. But, I mean, Carl and Rob has had fantastic pace throughout, and whilst it would be great to see a great battle at the end here and perhaps a late change of the lead, it would be a shame for Carl and Rob if he did lose this, because he has put in so much effort throughout the race. And just to throw just a name that perhaps no one expected, Carlsbury, a driver who I think it's fair to say hasn't had a great season so far, is running third at the moment. But the thing is, the difference is here, Dustley has to have that little voice in the back of his head that thinks about the championship. Currently would be leaving here with an 8-point lead, but could he extend that, make it a 15-point lead? Who knows? As Carl and Rob backs up the pack and he accelerates now towards turn 1. Great launch there for Carl and Rob, but can Dustley get close enough to him? He can't, as it's nearly 3-1 in the background. That's the Pied Piper and Carlsbury battling it out for third position just behind them. Carlsbury holds on for now. It's now the Pied Piper battling Black Yoshi, who is trying to get himself to join his teammate on that podium. Could he manage it? Black Yoshi up into 4th place now. Carlsbury holding on to 3rd. Dustley in 2nd position. Can he catch up to the back of Carl and Rob? Carl and Rob got a fantastic restart there, and is pulling away. That's wheel to wheel. Oh, that's wheel to wheel between Black Yoshi and Carlsbury. That's not a place you see battling. Neither is this, and Black Yoshi does back out of that one, unsurprisingly. That would have been an outstanding move if Black Yoshi had pulled that one off there, but quite sensibly he backs out of that one. But Black Yoshi with a lot of pace here at the moment, looking to get both Williams cars onto the podium for this race. That would be quite the result there for the Williams team, and it's all looking quite good for them at the moment, but Carlsbury will be doing every last thing he can do to hold on to that podium. But with slightly older soft tyres, he's going to not quite have the same level of grip, but for the moment is holding on to 3rd position.
Yeah, I'm now going to chuck it to our fantastic viewers that have kept with us this evening. 3 laps now remaining. Who do you think will be our top 3 for this race in Zandvoort for the Dutch Grand Prix in PSGL F9 on the PS platform? It's been an eventful race. Who do you think will be the top 3? We'll chuck it to our fantastic viewers in the chat at the moment. There is currently 31 in the chat at the moment, so get into the chat and give us your top 3, as it looks like Black Yoshi looked to have a go at Carlsbury for that podium again, but got the the door closed on him. Hype is I tell you what, Hype is just sitting there and just thinking, just make one mistake and I'm gonna pounce. I'm gonna make that move. As it looks like Black Yoshi is gonna go down the inside as they come out of the DRS zone. Is he gonna get the move done? Yeah, he gets the move done. Black Yoshi is up to 3rd place, but he may go to the stewards for the restart lobby. Incorrect tyre. He started on the hard compound tyre. He should have been on the softs, so obviously he could drop positions there, as DRS is now enabled. But it looks like Carlsbury is going to lose another position as the Hype goes down the inside. He's going to get the move done, it looks like it, as Carlsbury is lose position. Yep, Hype is up to P4 on lap 34 of 36 as they now come through the turn 2. No oversteer problems, as they are now going to come through sector 2. Hyped is really on a charge at the moment, and Carlsbury, them tyres, he just cannot get into the right temperature for optimal usage out of them, as he's got the Pied Piper on the back of him. This could potentially put Carlsbury from P3 to P6 or even P7, because he's got Powdy right behind the Pied Piper. I believe the Pied Piper did have DRS, but not enough close to Carlsbury, as they are now going to come for lap 35. 2 laps left in this Dutch Grand Prix. It is Karen Robb who is your current race leader, with Dustley in P2. Black Yoshi is in P3, the second of the Williams, with Hyped in P4. But Hype is going to go for it. He goes down the inside and he's going to fight for P3 with the other Williams, and he gets the move done into turn 1A as they go through now to turn 2 into the banking, and Hyped has got himself up to P3 for the Haas Formula 1 team. It is all kicking off in Zandvoort for the Dutch Grand Prix in PSGL this evening.
That's a great move there by Hype to get up onto the podium positions there, ruining Black Yoshi's day, but Black Yoshi's still in P4, which is still a strong position, and still right behind him here. So don't count this fight over just yet. Dustley only just up the road of them here, so a mistake from Dustley and he could be dropped into this fight as well. Dustley perhaps taking it a bit easier here. He's not got the pace. He's really struggling here. He's lost a lot of time here, and Hype is going to be looking at the move and got a crash for Jamie in Sector 1. But what has happened to Dustley here? He's all of a sudden lost a lot of time to the Haas driver of Hype Scholes, going into the Portsmouth corner now. Around this, but also a mistake from Hype now. Mistake from Hype that's going to put Black Yoshi on the front foot, going down towards turn 1 now. But the DRS of Hype is going to protect him from Black Yoshi. Black Yoshi going to stay behind at this moment in time, but Hype really sending it into. They're braking so late. That's going to give Black Yoshi the chance on corner exit. Not going to get alongside just in time. Behind them they are battling. Pied Piper still stuck behind Carlsbury here. But at Hype, oh, and again Black Yoshi got another chance. This time through this flat out complex of corners, through this long curved straight, I guess you could call it. Oh, but pushed off onto the grass. Pushed off onto the grass there by Hyped was Black Yoshi. He will not be happy with that one at all. Wheel to wheel behind as well, as Carlsbury still clinging on to that. Oh, he's gone wide. Carlsbury's gone wide. That's going to let the Pied Piper in this contact. That's Carlsbury off the road. That's going to put Powdy in the chance here for the 5th position. And that's contact again, and Carlsbury's gone around. Oh, it's all gone wrong for Carlsbury. And is now going to drop down, quite possibly down out of the point. Well, there's not any out of the points positions, but it's all gone wrong for Carlsbury.
As I now have to interrupt you there, as Karen Robb is now going to come round the last corner. He has had a fantastic race in the Dutch Grand Prix this evening, and he takes the provisional race win for PSGL F9.
Oh my! Sorry to interrupt you, but Hype and Black Yoshi have just finished equal across the line.
And it's put Hyped into P3. Yeah. Wow.
So, what the? That came out of nowhere.
I think that's what the moment. I think we'll leave that as Petuaka gets the in-game driver of the day. I think, wow. I think these drivers seem to amaze us every week. You know, it's our first season commentating over these potential these drivers, and up for us in PSGL. And I tell you what, you know, fair play to him, as Karen Robb takes your provisional race win for the Dutch Grand Prix in PSGL for F9 on the PS platform. Wow. I think I'm lost for words. So many retirements, but so many moments that just, yeah. I think I would have to look at a few of the drivers' POVs. So that is the provisional race classification for the PSGL F9 tier in the Dutch Grand Prix. We have Karen Robb takes your race win with Dustley in P2, Hyped P3, Black Yoshi 4th, the Pied Piper in 5th, Powdy in 6th, Petuaka 7th, Carlsbury 8th, Jamie in 9th, I can't get the words out now. Time Razim rounding off the top 10, and your DNFs for today are Florovistic, GTX, Dan in P13, then we've got IFR Mentos 14th, Ethan, our pole sitter, in 15th, then we have Daniel in P16, Jets in 17th, 18th Royal Harvey, and rounding off the grid in 19th is F1R San. Wow. I tell you what, if we have another race like that next week, I don't think we're going to have a voice left, because that was just simply fantastic. If you're a fan of racing, that was what you call racing. It's simply fantastic from all the drivers. That they kept it clean as much as possible, you know, and for that finish of Hyped and Black Yoshi, wow, just to come across the line and Hyped to get that P3 and Black Yoshi to miss out, then wow. But I think we all know who the driver of the day nomination is going to go to, and it's going to go to Dusty from myself. Super recovery drive come back from him. He was last on lap 1 and he's just literally pulled a podium out the bag, and he's got himself top of that championship.
Yeah, it was a truly brilliant drive. I mean, all the drivers got the podium there. So close to the finish as well. Fantastic racing throughout the field. Yeah, we saw a few incidents here and there. But for the most part, it was fantastic racing and respectful racing. And I just hope that Dudley's drive doesn't overshadow the fantastic drive that Carl and Rob had, who, of course, took the lead on merit from Ethan early on. And Carl and Rob putting a fantastic defensive drive, because he had those challenges towards the end and managed to fend off his rivals throughout the race. And come the end of the last sort of 5 laps of that race, he was the class of the field. But Dustley getting that P2 and taking the championship lead there, I will check that, because perhaps with Carl and Rob's great drive, maybe he's put himself in the mix as well. Carl and Rob, he was 5th going in. I believe he will. That's going to be close, actually. I believe they'll be equal top of the standings between Carl and Rob and Dustley. Dustley was 10 points back going into the race weekend, and Carl and Rob was 17 points back going into the race weekend. So we've gone from talking about this Bandini versus GTX championship fight, we've got a new one. We've got Dustley versus Carl and Rob. Who saw that one coming? Oh, what a day, what a race, and brilliant drive from so many people out there, just to avoid the chaos, really.
Yeah, and it still goes on in the PSGL F9 tier. The pole sitter didn't win the race. Will that end next week? Who knows? We'll find out then. Thank you to everyone who has watched the stream. If you do like any of the content that PSGL has to offer, then do smash that like button and hit that subscribe button for any of the action. They do have races multiple days on the PS4 platform and the PC, where you can catch some of the best races on both platforms. But until next time in PSGL, it's good night from myself, which is NRX Dom, and it's good night from Jackson.